Ponderstruck series matters for profound contemplation, deepening the integral wisdom in our lives.
Greatest of all sufferings.
There's suffering, right? And most of us would like to avoid it. However, what exactly is this suffering, and is it avoidable to begin with? So there are indeed two types of suffering. One that is inherent and embedded in all things and unavoidable, and another arising from misconceptions that is quite avoidable. The unavoidable suffering we encounter on many planes of our existence. This physical body of ours, with all of its pains, aches, ailments, and urges, is a source of suffering. In our emotional being, we have our joys and sorrows, excitements and disappointments. They are a part of our living reality. Then, in your rational being, with all the conflicts you encounter, suffering and collisions there will be, unavoidably. Then your sense of identity, the egos you latch onto when your sense of self is challenged by the world, begins to crack at its seams. This existential anxiety, your compulsion to preserve your finite sense of self, is a claustrophobic torture chamber of some proportions. We are approaching the realm of suffering that is avoidable. The avoidable suffering, the greatest of all sufferings, is overcome by dispelling your illusions and living in raw actuality, not clinging to a sense of permanence in a world where there is none, where all things are in constant change. And when you yourself are flexible, a fluid self-construct, embracing and releasing as required, with that your self-born suffering itself is released and eliminated. You need not add to the burdens of life by living in a network of lies. Let the truth of actuality itself, seen plainly raw, things as they are, relieve you from the burdens born of hallucinations. Ungrounded. As we reach beyond the finite self, exploring awareness broader and deeper than our day-to-day lives, how do we ensure that people and the world do not just walk all over us? It's actually quite common. This sort of dissociation that makes you vulnerable, a certain leap to a false transcendence, premature, ungrounded. Someone comes to you, you are not this body, you are of transcendence, this world is an illusion, therefore give me all your money. Well, okay then, here you go. That's obviously not the way it can function. Each one of your planes of being, physical, emotional, intellectual, and even your identity, they have a certain presence and a certain integrity that deserves to be maintained. It's simply that we are not obsessed by them anymore, mesmerized and entangled. Instead, we are operating them, we are in them, we are not them in themselves as our genuine permanent being. It's not that detachment means letting go of it to be freely scavenged and exploited by others. Whatever the witness, the observer, the consciousness beyond may be, the fact remains your body, your emotions, your thoughts, your roles in life are the mediums and vehicles for its expression. Then this path leads you not to a loss of integrity in your concrete life. Rather, it leads to increased, enhanced integrity. There is simply a release of obsession in using all of this to frame yourself an identity. Each of your planes operates as they must. They change as is required, adaptive, reactive, in tune with actuality, what is, rather than your ideas of how it should be in order to make you feel better. That's the difference. So next time someone comes and wants to clean your pockets because you are such a spiritual person, keep that in mind.
With a gaping void in the middle of their being.
How far must one truly go in this never-ending quest for fulfillment? Elon Musk is chasing his mantle of titanhood by the conquest of Mars. Mark Zuckerberg seeks to subjugate the collective mind with his algorithmic network. Donald Trump hopes to be forever famous by making the ultimate deal. Vladimir Putin will not rest until he's crowned the sovereign of the great Russian Empire. Should they all one day meet the consummation of these pipe dreams, they would still be left with a gaping void in the middle of their being. Why must you seek so far, Elon? Conquer the planets of your mind. You will be a titan extraordinary. Why must you seek to control the minds of others, Mark? establish the absolute network of your own mental patterns. What deal do you hope to make, Donald, when you are yet to negotiate peace between the polarized parties of your own being? And Vladimir, old comrade, why not become the Lord Sovereign of the United States of Awareness instead? Sometime turn your efforts inward, face the void that you pursue out there. Your pursuits out there will only ever be consummated in fine form when the inner blueprint has been perfected. All these grand operations out there, they are simply metaphors for our awareness, the processes we undergo to fulfill ourselves and reconcile our own existence. Even there, in the absolute consummation of our inner workings, we must yet resign from ownership, from trying to jail all of that into our subjective prison, like an immaculate mirror of reality. Allow for the natural emergence of the fullness of potentials that you carry.
Archetypal fields of awareness.
Mystic maps and diagrams, esoteric flowcharts, depictions of dimensional cosmology, it all makes you ponder. We meet the chakras, psychosomatic centers, typically in neo-yogic traditions. We have the Sephiroth in the Tree of Life from Kabbalah, Nadan and the microcosmic body from Taoist sources. Now, in principle, that's all potentially useful, especially if we are looking at classical schematics. On the other hand, if we are looking at upcycled modern creations, inspired spin-offs, those are potentially very confusing. The bottom line is, these are all fields and dynamisms of awareness itself, consciousness and its descent into the realm of forms. Where it all goes sideways and becomes unrooted is when people begin to develop these in the fields of their imagination and intellect, rather than taking them as substance to be explored, experimented, and directly witnessed in the laboratory of your consciousness. Do not look at these mappings as external blueprints, something you should download and program into your consciousness. No, take it the other way around. Start looking into what is in your consciousness and how it correlates with these mappings. When the innate framework of awareness itself becomes your instrument for reading and recognition, all the million esoteric schematics will make a world more sense to you. Do not depend on them. Use them for supplementary information. Just as in driving a vehicle, you would be looking at the road ahead of you, not just the map. Better you rely on what you can directly experience. What it truly matters. Like a turtle withdraws into its shell. At some point, we need to get to the point. Sure, there's all sorts of potentially fantastic out there, but we cannot forever scatter and be diluted with the possibilities. We have to find aim, direction, intention, concentrate, withdraw, like a turtle draws its limbs within the shell. What do we attend to? What do we concentrate on? What truly matters? That be the point. Simple, really. The deeper the influence and impact of a thing or principle on our lives is, the more consequential point there is to it. The broader its presence and dynamics in the fabric of existence, the more essential that point is. It is these very higher level core points that we need to establish. These are the roots of the tree of life itself, the directors of everything that follows. Look into yourself. What in me truly matters? There be the point to be sought. The structures and constraints of my ego, that matters. The flux of my adaptations in the environment, that matters. My consequential responses in interaction, that matters. The big picture of my life and awareness as a whole, that matters. Then establish your foundations firm and solid. The rest of your orientation will follow. Cut off the wings from your fairy dreams for once. Plant the poles supporting the foundation of your path in life. Let go of your field of vapors. Leave behind your holographic games. Those are not the vehicle to carry you to the other shore. Time to get to the point. Time to plant your roots. Be real. Rhyme and reason together. On this path, the path of life, of transformation, inner and outer, many are the matters to be mastered. It's not an intellectual exercise. It's not an analytical operation. These will only lead to constructs in your mind. Now that said, you can't let your intellect be idle. You can't simply vibe your way to the other side. You have to engage all of your capacities. You have your frameworks of thought. Philosophical, theological, scientific. They are there to give you a broader context. What happens when you try to vibe your way through is you slip in all sorts of directions with your feelings alone. You are off-center. You are not balanced. You need your intellect for the checks and balances of your inside. Your intellect is indispensable. It is a tool to be used wisely. It's not a matter of becoming an intellectual giant. It is a matter of common sense. Looking carefully. What is this? What is that? How does this relate to that? What is this made of? What is that made of? And how does that change the picture we're looking at? These constructs of thought and reason, when validated with direct experience, become the strong scaffolds that hold you firm and well-rounded on your path. Without these frames of clarity in place, you will inevitably, unavoidably, at some point fall off the side of your building reaching for the sky. You may think you don't, but a million case examples demonstrate otherwise. Your jackass attitude, this false self-confidence that you can just wing it and it'll be all right because you are so excellent, right? Is simply born of arrogance. It is the pride that cometh before the fall. Do not bypass reason. Do not bypass analytical thought, simply dancing your merry way down the road. Rhyme and reason together.
Integrate.
Of all that you are.
There comes a time when you've accumulated enough. The pool of your yields is brimming, fermenting, boiling. Yet this cauldron of your contents is murky, unrefined. Conflicts abound, confusion abounds. This is the station where true pondering happens. Integration of all that you carry, of all that you are. In this process of deep integration toward our consummation, the convergence of all that we are, we face the need for deep reconciliation and deep harmonization. All that we carry, all that we are made of, is driven to the field of encounters. If at this time you are not the impartial charioteer, if you begin to take sides, you will perish. At this time, you are the judge of all and you are the judge of yourself. Truth alone, the raw truth of what is, and absolute unflinching integrity is your guide and guardian in the caldera of your integration. Remain firm in your stance. Do not yield. Essence alone shall pass. Clutter shall all be removed. Immaculate essence, refined in the fire of truth. This alone will bring resolution to the witch brew boiling in the cauldron of your life. Sacrifices must be made. What is not worthy must be discarded, and what is worthy must be elected and uplifted in the rapture of our cognitive convergence. Then let the old world perish as it must, the residue its white ashes, fertilizer for a new world of purity and radiance in truth. Then remain firm, unshaken before adversities. The truth of what is your lifeline. Synchronized and harmonized. Beyond the integration of our essence, the reconciliation and consolidation of our life's imprints and yields, there is the calling for harmonization and alignment. The synchronization of your ripened and refined potentials into a synergetic and radiant embodiment. At this final station of the human journey, your life cycle is crowned, ascending to its rightful throne. All of it cycling, progressing from baselines into insights, into impressions, into potentials, into directions, into engagement, integration, and finally alignment. Infants born into a context are baseline, pre-present to its truth. Opening our eyes and observing the environment, hold on to your insights and visions. Receiving imprints from the environment and reflecting, refine the potential in your emotions. Dreaming into the horizon that opens, explore the sphere of your potentials. Struck down from the clouds, then take aim and plant your roots, establish the will of your way. Then set to your works, diligent and meticulous, skillfully engaged in transformation. Come harvest time, take count of your yields, place them in the cauldron, begin the process of refinement. Islands of essence, established in your caldera, the currents in your ocean are reconciled. Synchronized and harmonized, you ascend to the top of the tree of your life. But please, never claim the crown at the zenith, at yours. Simply allow nature to operate as it may. Never hijack that radiant crown of alignment for a celestial kingdom of your ego. Do that, and you will be cast down from your hollow heavens, ruminating on the grass of your earth again. Such are the journeys in life we ponder. Forget not to carry the essence from each of your stations. With this, we conclude our octagon of ponderings. Absorb, contemplate, ruminate. The journey continues above and beyond.